I mean, the Royal Commission heard that, as you said, 1950, 1,006 alleged abusers have been identified through the Jehovah's Witnesses. Now, that was 1,006 people, not 1,006 cases, so we don't know how many cases were, but none of these were reported to authorities. Instead, what the church would do is they would investigate the claims themselves. This often involved bringing the abuser and their victims together to discuss their claims of abuse. The Royal Commission heard that of the 1,006 alleged abusers identified to the Jehovah's Witnesses since 1950, not one single person had been reported to police.
More harmful elements.
Listen, we experienced abuse do understand, and we can remember what it feels like when you first take the plunge and start doing research, especially those first few clicks. It's absolutely terrifying, but we can assure you it is worth it.
After all, if Watchtower really has the truth, shouldn't that truth be able to stand up to even the heaviest possible scrutiny or criticism?
Here to tell you, you don't have to be afraid anymore.
It is time to wake up.
Look behind the curtain. Start exploring the wealth of information that's freely available.
You owe it to yourself to know what's really going on and to live in the here and now,
rather than the doomsday fantasy of a bunch of guys in New York.
Open your eyes and see how deep the rabbit hole really goes.
Be honest and true to yourself, and learn what real freedom is all about.
We're proud apostates, and we're here to help. See you around.
Of one of the church elders who himself had investigated a case of abuse.
So what about telling other authorities? Are you aware of your obligations if someone tells you of a serious allegation of sexual assault?
Well, we don't report it to the police. I think we encourage them to do that, but we give them the assistance to do that if they need that.
Church elders could now face criminal charges for concealing the abuse. The Commission also heard that the church only believed victims if the alleged abuser confessed or there were two witnesses.
And also today, the Commission has been dealing with the actual response by church elders when young women allege that they were sexually abused by members of the church.
Well, Church Elder today, Joe Bellow, said that the church recommends a biblical response to the trauma caused by sexual abuse. The Commission heard from two abuse survivors who felt so unsupported by the church that they had both attempted suicide.
Here is Kevin Newman.
Hello, and thanks for joining us. This week, a full edition W5 investigation into an alleged worldwide cover-up of sex abuse involving an organization you may least expect, the Jehovah's Witnesses. The sect is involved in lawsuits in Canada and around the world, alleging its doctrine victimizes abused children.
We do not consider the Jehovah's Witness organization to be an organization which responds adequately to child sexual abuse. The Commission also uncovered what had, up until that moment, been just a rumor, that the Jehovah's Witnesses kept a secret database of every single known and suspected child abuser within their congregations.
Not one was reported by the church to secular authorities.
Since 1950, JW elders in Australia have documented potential child sexual abuse cases against 1,006 members. Not one of them ever reported to police. Institutions have failed to protect children from sexual abuse, and there's now public pressure to open a separate investigation that focuses solely on Jehovah's Witnesses.
If you have a policy that requires there to be a second witness to child abuse, it means that virtually every allegation of child abuse is going to go no further. And that puts the child at risk, it puts other children at risk, and it protects the person who's the abuser.
The Jehovah's Witnesses official website hosts dozens of videos that depict warm family scenes. It's a stark contrast to the emotional court battles and international investigations that allege the organization has covered up child sex assault cases. Now, 2 class action lawsuits.
And their parents don't even regret withholding life-saving treatment until it's too late.
Of course, it could be that you see no problem with any of these issues. If that's the case, feel free to ignore this video and spend the rest of your life supporting and promoting JW.org and its ever-changing doctrines.
value intellectual honesty, and you don't like being lied to or seeing people get hurt, then we urge you to shake off your Watchtower-induced fear of apostate books and websites and start doing some digging.
Some of the most important online resources include jwfacts.com, watchtowerdocuments.com, and jwsurvey.org.
JW Survey in particular.
Many, but the stories are out there.
That led to mishandling of child abuse, as reported on extensively by the media.
There is a crisis of silence within the Jehovah's Witness organization. A crisis of cover-up of the abuse, the sexual abuse of children that has been going on for decades.
The new report sheds light on a widespread practice among Jehovah's Witnesses of using one of America's most sacred rights to shield itself from child sexual abuse claims.
For almost 20 years, they've ordered them to send reports like this one for every known child abuser, to hide these cases from their congregations, and not to cooperate with law enforcement or the courts unless instructed to.
I don't know any other religious organisation which has had this strain, which has the processes with the flaws that we've identified in the Jehovah's Witnesses.
If ever there was a group that needs the sun to shine on them, it's this one. Because when your doorbell rings on Saturday morning and your kid answers the door, you don't want that guy to be a child molester.
If you were molested as a child by one of your fellow Jehovah's Witnesses, there's a good chance that nothing will happen to your abuser, and that he will go on to abuse other children.
Why? Because elders are instructed that unless there is a second witness to the abuse, they must leave the matter in Jehovah's hands.
The alleged abuser confessed, or there were two witnesses.
And also today, the Commission has been dealing with the actual response by church elders when young women allege that they were sexually abused by members of the church.
Well, church elder today, Joe Bellow, said that the church recommends a biblical response to the trauma caused by sexual abuse. The Commission heard from two abuse survivors who felt so unsupported by the church that they had both attempted suicide.
Here is Kevin Newman. Hello, and thanks for joining us. This week, a full edition W5 investigation into an alleged worldwide cover-up of sex abuse involving an organization you may least expect, the Jehovah's Witnesses. The sect is involved in lawsuits in Canada and around the world, alleging its doctrine victimizes abused children. W5's Avery Haynes travels to London, New York, California, and across Canada to hear from victims who say that religious rules and intimidation ensure trauma is rarely, if ever, reported to police.
Happy and carefree worshipers. What they don't show, the sheltered lives, the strict rules meant to protect against the Satan-led outside world. They don't celebrate holidays, no Christmases, no birthdays. And those who don't obey the rules risk being shunned by friends and family. Perhaps the most controversial of their beliefs has been their policy on what to do with child sexual abuse allegations. Court documents obtained by W5 show that Jehovah's Witnesses elders are instructed to keep a record of every single child sexual abuse